Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Chris, the co-founder at Valueships. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Christian. Thanks for inviting me, and nice to be here.
For sure. Thank you for joining us. At first, please tell us what your company does.
So we are a boutique consultancy. We started as a SaaS pricing consultancy. Fast forward after 3 years, we are still focused on SaaS pricing. Nevertheless, we also support e-commerce and services companies within pricing space. But the main focus still stays on SaaS pricing. So we are helping companies in adjusting their pricing policy to become more profitable. And on top of that, we invest a lot of in the research. So we are doing a lot of pricing benchmarking. That's what we do.
We'll talk about the researching part in a later part of the podcast. But tell me, what are the biggest problems that you see SaaS companies make with their pricing?
So right now, there are a couple of problems, and actually, when you think about it, they didn't change from the very beginning. So first of all, last 3 years, we conducted more than 100 projects. Some were, full-fledged projects, starting from analyzing the revenue engine, then going through the competition, then running the primary research, blah blah blah, implementing the pricing stuff like this. Some of the projects were smaller, so it was much more conceptual work, workshop work. But nevertheless, when you think about it, there were more than 100. And for this podcast, and actually before any podcast that I'm joining, I'm doing a bit of a retro and trying to understand how many times we increased the average price. And the number still stays the same. So it's around 95%. In 95% of our projects, we increase the average price. Of course, It doesn't mean that you don't have the cheaper plan. It doesn't mean that monetization model stays the same. But if you think about the average price, from all of the plans, if you're on usage, no matter, on the average basis, also at the median basis, we are increasing the prices. So the first problem, trying to sum it up, the first problem is that typically, as a SaaS pricing company, and by the way, in commerce, in services, it looks very similar, you are below your willingness to pay or willingness to pay of your users. So tools, in principles, especially when they are, founder-led, sales-led, they are technology delivery-led.
Yes.
Typically they are too cheap. So there's a problem. Number one. The thing that has changed right now is focus on currently existing users. So before, we've been thinking about monetization model, how to acquire more users, how to grow, and this was the main priority. It is still a big priority of the companies, but sometimes they had, I see the notion of, leaky bucket. Companies have the feeling that they are, filling in the bucket, but the bucket is leaking. So
yes,
of course, you can fill in the leaky bucket. If you have enough of water, you will eventually make it. But why? Have you ever tried to fill in the leaky bucket? It really doesn't make sense. I actually tried, at one of the conferences, I came with a bucket that was leaking, and on the stage I was actually pouring water there. But going back to the main question is that the upsell motion, expansion motion is frequently broken. So the second thing that is quite of a hot topic right now is how to increase the average revenue per user, how to make your expansion engine ready for new users, how to leverage existing users to increase MRR or ARR.
Yes.
That's the second thing. The third thing that typically, and this is the last one, I'm a consultant, right? There will be always three things. No, I'm kidding, or not, let's see. So the third thing that typically companies are not aware of is a discounting policy, because then when you are a sales assisted, when you have a sales assisted motion, most of the companies are aware that some discounts are provided. Typically, there is no deal desk behind it for the biggest customers. So within enterprise level solutions, the awareness around the discounting strategy is quite high, and typically we're trying to structure that. Nevertheless, when you think about the companies that are SMB focused, if I were to receive, 1 penny or $1 for every customers that is telling me, no, we don't have a discounting problem, I would have like $100, right? So it's not this story that I would have been millionaire, not yet. It's been 100 projects. I need to be consistent, like 100 plus. Nevertheless, discounting in SMB companies, also discounting tends to be a big problem, and it's frequently an epiphany moment for our stakeholders, because they are like, yeah, we have a pricing ready, people will go through it, click through it, buy it, and there is no sales assist, so how we could possibly give the discounts. But then when you think about that, when you've established the company, there were those first 10 users that were minus 20%. You have never increased them. Then there was some friend, there was the tool not working, there were some problems in UI, so you decided to please your users with some small discounts. There was Black Friday, blah blah blah, and it adds up. When you think about this, and if you don't look back, typically you don't clean the discounting that your clients received. So I would say the third problem within SMB focused SaaS companies, the awareness is quite low. It's a discounting pattern, and then in enterprise level solution, they're trying to fight with discounting, but rarely there is a structured approach to discounting. So rarely escalation path is existing, rarely deal scoring is existing. There is rarely, for some there is, but rarely what I see in the market, there is a good understanding why we are giving discounts and what attributes should influence the discounts. Is it size? Is it revenue of the company? Is it the stakeholder we are talking to? Is it the potential, number of FTEs? Common sense, right? So, and it can work, of course, within the common sense to the certain extent, because then if you're growing, common sense, there are more and more people, so the common sense tends to become different for different stakeholders. So, thinking through it, there are like 3 main challenges that I can see right now. So prices are not high enough, or like companies tend to underprice their solution. Expansion revenue / upsell typically is broken, and discounting patterns or discount management is frequently not existing. So those are the 3 problems currently that I see, and they've been existing, they will be existing. The new things are, of course, costs, right? Yeah. So with AI and credits that we need to buy, the role of CFO is much more important. I remember one conversation that I had with a SaaS company, which was around 10 million USD ARR, and they didn't even have a person fully dedicated to finance. And then, AI is happening, costs are growing, rising. So, it's nice to have someone who is responsible for the finance part of our finance management part of our company. So the new thing I would say is like cost management that was not that obvious like a year or 2 years ago. Right now, it becomes more and more important.
How can companies monetize their existing customers?
So there are a couple of things. So the first thing, in order
Three
to
things.
3 things, there are 3 things. No, maybe there are more. So the first one is you can increase the price to currently existing customers. So it's a very easy Excel that you can come up with. So see what is the last month recurring revenue that you achieve with those clients, see what plans that they are currently in, see what is the price for the plan, and then the difference between the column A and column C, when you sum it up, is your price increase potential. or discount ceiling potential. So it comes down to the hidden discounting and grandfathering. So this is the first thing that you can do, and this is the easiest thing that you can do, because when we see the profit and loss statements of the companies, typically, if you increase the price, for you not to be better off, it would require for your company to have like churn at 30 or 40%, rarely existing. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this comes down to the research that we are conducting, market to market, it depends. But what we see in the market, there is no add-ons policy. So in Poland, there are around 30% of companies that have add-ons. In Germany, it's around 15%. In Nordics, there are around 20%. And in France, that we're currently researching, also there's around 15 to 20% of the companies who have any add-ons. So it's about chances, that you have. And if you want to have expansion revenue, if you want to monetize your customers better, think if you have tools to do that, right? Because you can't increase prices forever. Your tool is growing, and the willingness to pay for solving a problem, for making this job done, is not infinite. So
Yes.
you need to start to structure your tool in a way that it's not only a base tool, but also you have something on top. And those are typically add-ons. Like, look at the cars, leather seats, right?
Yep,
This is a typical add-on. Big engine, leather seats; small engine, leather seats.
Colors.
Right?
Yeah.
So, by the way, as an anecdote, or maybe not an anecdote, but while thinking about SaaS companies, I think there's still much to learn from the industries that are much more mature, like retail, automotive, blah blah blah. But let's leave it for now. So the second one, and the second one that is quite obvious, start thinking about add-ons policy. And then, of course, the second prime, or we can call it the third one, is differentiation. So we see, and this is also based on our research, that companies that have enterprise level plans, so there's this, you have some plans, or you have some usage, pricing, and then you have this plan that is called contact sales, or you need something more. Yes. Contact us. So we see that introducing those plans, contact sales, enterprise level plans, typically increases the willingness to pay for the solution. So if you take 10 companies that are in the marketing automation space and that don't have custom plans, and and if you take 10 other companies that are more or less doing exactly the same, of course there are some nitty-gritty details, but they are solving the same job, and they have enterprise level plans, the latter one will have higher willingness to pay, and on average that they will have higher prices. So if you differentiate, and if you have couple of options, especially in the laddering, not fencing structure, so really plans do differentiate themselves, but not like they are not like extremely differentiated. It's about helping customers to understand what the value that they will receive, preferably what quantified the value they will receive once they upsell to the higher plan. And this is quite important, because we rarely have a real incentives, and we rarely, or what I see, rarely there is a strategy behind it. So how are we going to upsell those customers? Is this a person responsible for that? Is this person has any KPIs, any incentive, a team to make it happen? So of course, the third thing is to incentivize customers to upsell within the solution, and definitely there should be responsibility, or there should be a team responsible in order to make it happen. And beyond that, there are like industry to industry specific solutions, because you have hardware and the software. I was recently working with the client who has also his e-commerce. It's, by the way, a big SaaS company. They also have their e-commerce space. It's a bit different to your typical, I think, podcast guest, because this is a B2C SaaS. And they do have their e-commerce. So what we've done, we gave minus 10% discount if you go to the higher plan. Works wonders, because
Really?
not only you see bigger upsell motion because the e-commerce is quite popular, but also number of visits at the e-commerce platform is higher, right? So you really have a lever there. So industry to industry, it can change. You can start to monetize your other solutions. If you have any other like e-commerce or company that you are working in, try to think about how those levers can work with each other. So it will change. It will differ industry to industry. Sorry for repeating myself, but I think in principles, no matter beyond the industry, the three things that I've mentioned are the ones that I guess everyone should leverage. Of course, if you don't have like enterprise level solution, I'm not incentivizing you just to put it in your on your website. Most likely, this is not a great strategy. If you do not have like a feature flags and you do not have a feature that provides a value, monetizing it as an add-on most likely also is not a great idea. But to be very, very honest with you, I struggle to find those situations in the market. Typically, we're too generous. We're giving too much. And they're like, we have 100 features, but, it's a Pareto rule. 20% of our features generate 95% of our usage. And there is this, a long tail of features that nobody is using. And guess what? We've spent millions on developing them. So this is what I have seen on the market. Those are the things that like my discussions are typically around.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious to know, why should a company come to you and not test it directly by themselves? And when should they come to you?
So we are supporting different companies. So and it starts all from pre-revenue companies to multi-million, like 100, 200 million ARR. I think in the SaaS industry, those are our biggest clients as far as I remember. Of course, like in e-commerce space, it differs a bit because like companies typically revenue-wise, not profit-wise, but revenue-wise, there were some billion companies that we worked with. Nevertheless, when you think about this, it really depends. For the pre-revenue companies, we're typically feeling on the conceptual level what your monetization model should be. So what is your core value metric? How can you differentiate, etc. Because as a pre-revenue company or company that is just starting, your one and the most important goal is to learn over the course of next 12-18 months when it comes to your pricing. Of course, you should earn money and you should sell, etc. But this is, I think, obvious. Pricing wise, you need to make sure that you know what you are doing and what lessons you can take from the things that you are doing. So it's much more about choosing the core value metric, thinking how you can differentiate, trying to understand how you can test your pricing and how to but how to learn the lessons from the changes. So, we see that on the middle plan, there is 95% of the traction. Let's take the feature A from the middle plan. Let's put it in the enterprise level plan. What happens? How I can drive insights from that? So, this is I think the most important for the pre-revenue or very small companies. And of course, I mean, the pricing, but I think this one is obvious, the pricing that doesn't kill your conversion. I mean, I think this is also quite important, but this is, hygienic factor that we are trying to nail down at the very beginning. So this is I think the most important for the small companies. When you think about a bit bigger companies, I think when you start reaching the 1 million ARR level, this is the second, and of course it depends if it took you like 10 years or 2 years. Nevertheless, I think that it is quite important to start thinking through your pricing and to launch a big initiative around that, because typically the pricing that used to work for the users that were quite hyped and quite easy to convince, it's like, this innovation curve at the very beginning. You have supporters who are like super hyped, blah blah blah, stuff like this. I mean, it was easier for you, and most likely they had different incentives to join your solution versus the customers that you are trying to convert right now. And what I see, it is somewhere in between 1 million to 2 million ARR. Of course, there are companies who did not launch this initiative in the past, and they're right now 15 million ARR. They did something great. I mean, that's amazing. They have typically great solutions. That's why they are where they are. Nevertheless, at some point, I mean, it's like an audit, to be very, very honest. It's maybe you will end up with the same pricing that you've started with, and then congrats, you did something amazing. Nevertheless, I mean, you should audit yourself pricing wise from time to time to make sure that you are not pouring the water to the leaky bucket. And then the third one, and now we will really go in freeze. I think the third one is also, no matter the size, it really depends if you have an open, transparent pricing everyone could use, or it's an enterprise level pricing. Because when you have a sales assisted motion and you have a sales force, like Salesforce, meaning like salespeople, if you have them, no matter the size, I think also linking and establishing pricing practice, pricing person, pricing FTE at some point for you will be important. The sooner the better, because then the bucket is not longer a leaky bucket. So trying to understand how should pricing communicate with sales, how to make sure that discounts are managed, and how to make sure we have the most margin out of our biggest customers, so we're not underpricing them, how to price with the value, especially for companies who are selling enterprise level solutions. That will be important. And it is much different, right? Because it's much more about having a value conversation. It's much more about calculating the value. It's much more about understanding what attributes drive willingness to pay. And also it's about communication. So how we make sure that we are not pricing, our solution for very similar companies for 100 and 500, great for 500. Congrats for securing this deal. But then you lost 400 in the other company. So also not great. So size is one. I think size of the company is one of the attributes that you should think through while thinking about your pricing, but also the motion that you are currently in.
Free trial or no free trial?
So I will go back to the research, and I think this is super cool that we have this data, because we've researched more than 7,000 companies right now. By the end of the year, we will have more than 10,000 companies researched. So I can talk facts. It will I will give my opinion, of course, but fact-wise, freemium is not a free lunch. Trial is a free lunch. So when you think about freemium, and one more time, if you compare the companies who are doing the same things and have free, or they're like doing the same things, they're in the same industry, the structure is, the pricing structure is quite similar. Companies that have freemium they have lower prices than companies that don't have freemium. And this is a fact, at least based on the on our research, and I think it's quite statistically significant with the number with the sample that we currently have. But and this is the fact, the opinion or the hypothesis behind it: if you give something for free, it deteriorates your value perception of your customers. So your customers have seen that you gave something for free, which most likely in their eyes is deteriorating the value perceived for the solution. So that's the hypothesis behind. In my opinion, like freemium itself, it might be a good acquisition strategy. There are some companies that did amazing work with freemium. There are also different strategies, right, for freemium. So should it be like just to give the sense what the tool is about, or my freemium should be at least as good at as the first paid plan of my competitors, right? But like putting this discussion aside, because you will stuck with me, or you will all stuck with me for next 1 hour. So this is about the freemium. The trial itself, it is actually a free launch. So within the same sample, we do not see a big differences, or almost there is no difference between companies when it comes to price tag they have that have trial versus the ones that don't have trial. We know that the trial is less popular. That's for sure. The freemium, the number of days for trial is also different country to country. It's like 14, I think, in Poland. I think in DACH it's more about 21. Also in DACH you have more enterprise level companies, so trial might be that's why trial, and this hypothesis trial might be a bit longer, but the fact is that differs. But what is important when you look at the data, and we didn't publish like everything in one place, because we've been publishing reports country to country, but we also in the backend have the database for all countries in one place, and we do not see a big differences between companies who have and don't have trial. So the hypothesis behind that, if the first hypothesis when it comes to freemium is true, I would say that the trial does not deteriorate the perceived value, right? Because by the way, I'm talking about the perceived value. So just to bring a bit clarity to this concept. I mean, your tool is generating like the value, like the value pool, a lot of value, and then of course. Most likely you have never read the car manual or a dishwasher manual, right? So you have no idea what is the full value of dishwasher. Most likely there is something that you don't know. So you communicate the value, and the better you communicate, the higher is the value perception. So the value, the perceived value is higher when it comes to your communication. And then the more value you have, the more value you can communicate, the higher the willingness to pay will be. So that's why if the value perception that comes typically through the communication is deteriorated, is lower, then the willingness to pay for the solution is lower. So one more time, summing it up, freemium can be great acquisition strategy, but what we see on the market, it can influence your pricing and price tags, willingness to pay. The trial itself, we haven't seen this phenomenon on the market based on our research.
Okay, and I have one last question for you.
Tell me.
What's your favorite software that you use?
My favorite software right now?
Yeah.
That's actually that's a hard question. So there is I struggle to answer this question. I will tell you why. Because a month ago, I think a week or 2 weeks ago, I changed from Windows to Mac OS. So I am, exploring new solutions that were not for me in the past. and I'm also crying for the solutions that were available to me in the past. For example, this beautiful podcast that we are currently in was not supported by Safari, which made me download the Google Chrome, which is fine and great, and no problem, no problem with that. I think to single out one will be hard, but like I love my I love my pipe drive, so that's I think that's the first thing. I love our Slack. So we're right now a group of 25 people, and we have a lot of funny channels. So I love them. I love them all. Right now for our marketing activities, I love all the outreach solutions that we have. So I think they are great. And at the end, and I'm super sorry for all the innovative companies. And of course, I love all my clients, right? I love Brand24, Cervicate, blah, blah, blah. So, no, I'm kidding. Like, I love them actually. I really like both of the solutions. But I think, very classic, and this will be a very a set answer. I really love my Excel and my PowerPoint, because those are, and to be very, very frank with you, those are the solutions that I've been using
The most.
the most, and from the beginning of my career. Hard to single out one.
It's perfect.
Especially right now that there is a new software solution pool that are available to me right now.
Yeah, I appreciate this. Is there anything else that you want to share today on the podcast?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy that pricing is becoming more and more important topic. I think in SaaS actually the discussion is quite interesting. And nothing else from my side. And see you all, and Christian, see you at the conferences that we are joining soon, right? I think the next one, when we are, I'm not sure when it will be broadcasted, but the next one for us, it's B2B Rocks in September.
Exactly.
So all of you feel invited. Great conference.
Yeah, see you there. And for anybody that wants to find you, they know how to find you on LinkedIn, and also on your website. I think they can find those reports, right?
Yes.
And insights.
Yes. All the reports are available on our website. Also, how to structure the pricing page. We recently published a Miro around that. So based on our research, we gathered the best practices when it comes to the pricing page. So beyond this is very like research stuff like that. I mean, at the end, you need to put it somewhere, so you need to at the end have a pricing page. By the way, super important to have a pricing page, and don't have a false promise pricing page. So pricing and then contact sales only, typically not great strategy. Nevertheless, all the research is available on our website. And then if you pass through my name, because LinkedIn I go by Krzysztof Szyszkiewicz, it will be a bit of a heavy lifting to find me. But
Valueships.
I'm available. Valueships, exactly.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristen. Have a good one.
Thank you.